Sonic X Episode 31. Judging from the episode's title, I guess it's ripping off Gamma's story, when again, I thought the show would cut out the filler by not showing us this stuff. You know, the other episode with Gamma was called A Robot Rebels, and I was expecting it to be much more interesting, cause it would be a robot other than Gamma. Nope. Chris has an emerald, and wants to get it to the plane. I forget where he got that. I don't know where he got that, so that doesn't feel earned. Did he earn it from Chaos 6? Didn't we already have enough recap at the start without Scarlet wasting our time? And it turns out Chuck didn't know Tails' real name. So how the fuck did anyone else know it? This has to be a translation dub thing. In Japan he's just called Miles. Chuck says he has a good idea. The gate of Chris's mansion opens, and the crowd lets the maid move a baby carrier. Surprisingly, one of the crowd members is smart enough to figure out that maybe she's hiding Tails in that thing. But Tanaka somehow fit in there instead, and nobody questions this at all. You'd think this would cause tabloids to talk about Ella and Tanaka having a kid. Tails was apparently hiding under Ella's dress the whole time, and no big deal is made of it. Really? That wasn't uncomfortable for her, and now we're gonna get the entire episode wasted by Gamma. We didn't need to see this. Archie didn't show us this for good reason. We especially didn't need to see Gamma remembering everything he already saw earlier. I think the game did it better where he just showed us a few images and cycled between them, and we got the point. We're not stupid. This just takes longer. We could have assumed he would have turned on Eggman because of Amy being nice. Sonic finds a pyramid and goes in for no apparent reason. Oh right, Tikal's fairy form is here too. He didn't mention it. Why are there Chow here? This isn't the Chow garden from earlier. Sonic is guided to a mural of perfect chaos. Who survived his attack and saw it to make that mural? He killed all the echidnas near him. Tikal's dialogue is very stilted. No one would call his anger and sadness a mighty ocean after seeing it. We didn't need to see a repeat at the last story with Tikal. Oh, at least we see something new, as Tikal is mourning some Chow and lampshading what a dick her father is outside of Fleetway. She goes up to the Master Emerald, but there's a flash of light because they wasted so much time on it that they didn't have the time in the episode to show us what we'd actually want to see. I don't care about what's before this. What happened? Why would Tikal have such bad priorities? Sonic breaks into Eggman's base, breaks the camera he was spotted on, and avoids some lasers from the security system. Somehow he just runs in place for no reason. And he avoids a ball because he does spin dash and bounces all over the place. If this was supposed to reference the Lost World level, it failed because he's in Final Egg. Sonic says that Bokoon would scare anybody. No, he wouldn't. Why isn't Sonic just running away and ignoring him? All of Bokoon's messages explode, except that last one near the missile. I guess Bokoon complains that he has to do everything, and cries as he shows Sonic the way to Eggman's mecha. But why doesn't he just quit? He's somehow able to hate working for Eggman, so he clearly has free will. And I guess Eggman gave up on having exploding messages for no reason. It would make more sense if people always ran away from them, and that would be why he gave up. Sonic looks like an idiot instead of genre savvy, because he hopes that this isn't another trick from Eggman. Shouldn't it be obvious that it is a trick? He's in a mecha! Of course he plans to kill him. How is Sonic not just interrupting his rant right away and spin dashing the mecha? This is a guy who can easily spin dash through stuff and destroy it in one hit all the time, so this isn't tense. Sonic avoids some lasers and spin dashes the mecha so it flies away. He taunts him for running away. It comes back and tries to crush him under it. And somehow Sonic just spin dashes backwards and makes it explode after it was right on top of him, without rolling away from it first. How is that physically possible? This is the lamest interpretation of the boss fight ever. I expected better from a TV show. Instead, the fight in the game looked more climactic and epic. He didn't have a ring. Maybe if we had more space in the episode, we could have seen more of a proper action scene, instead of Gamma wasting all of it. I'd rather see more of an original boss fight with the Egg Viper over Amy Rose wasting our time. Why did Amy think Froggy talked when it wasn't moving its mouth? We didn't need to see Amy meeting Big. Somehow, Amy's story manages to be even more pointless. She didn't need to meet Big to find out the egg carrier was floating on the surface of the sea, somehow, when it's that heavy. She found it without Big in the game. Surprisingly, we skip past any sort of fight, and Gamma reprograms Delta to delete his data on Eggman, because he can do that. And a rabbit escapes from it, rather than a bird for some reason. Then we see him do the same thing to this other robot, cutting past any sort of fight. What's the point of doing this if he's gonna shut down anyways? These robots aren't able to keep functioning, so why reprogram them? Doesn't he know Eggman's not gonna bother retrieving them and give new animals to them? At least we're getting Gamma's story done and over with really quickly. We just instantly cut to seeing him with the robots as dead bodies. But still, this is an action series! Maybe if valuable space in the episode wasn't wasted on Amy Rose, we could have seen proper fight scenes for all of these robots. This is an exciting action series, isn't it? It's not trying to be comedic. I don't think there's any jokes. So that's not it. Where's the appeal? There's no action, no comedy, so there's nothing. Gamma blasts a door in the egg carrier, which at least makes sense compared to all the doors still automatically opening. And just now, Boko and Gecko ask where they are and wonder why they're back in the egg carrier in front of Amy, somehow taking forever to notice Amy. He says the egg carrier has a very strong magnetic current, and that combined with the laws of gravity, and then he's enragingly interrupted because Buck filling in a plot hole. We clearly saw the robot sidekicks parachute out of the egg carrier. Okay, I guess they were magnetically attracted to the egg carrier that never showed any signs of having a magnet in it. More like they just fell back onto it because they were heavy. Amy sees a big robot and gets cornered by Zero, only to hit him with her hammer and make it topple over. You know, she had a big boss fight with him in the game. Gamma sees himself falling from the ceiling, and Beta, who was clearly trapped where he was being improved on, somehow gets out of there to fight him on the egg carrier. So did he fly? I'd rather just see Gamma fighting, but instead we get to Amy. We see Beta shooting at Gamma with lasers and missing constantly. And they argue because Gamma's against Eggman. Is that all they're going to do? That's dragging out. This isn't a proper fight scene. Gamma eventually defeats Beta in a confusing anticlimactic way, which was incredibly boring. I guess the animators were too lazy to animate the fight from the game, which was much more climactic. Why did Gamma collapse defeated? I love that Amy got to see what happened to Gamma at least. She showed that she cared about him and saw the birds reunite with each other. But why did the two robots get defeated? Did they hit each other with lasers at the same time? Tails goes to heartwarmingly sit down with Sonic as the storm starts happening. At least that happens to make things epic and dramatic. I wish that happened in the game, or Archie. That makes it more ominous as we head into the last story. Eggman encounters a water ball of chaos that's just floating there. But never mind, we don't get to see how it actually hit Eggman, because that would require animating it. Instead, as I'm confused about why it even turned on Eggman in the first place, since it worked for him perfectly fine before, we just cut to seeing the Master Emerald. That's not distracted, right? I thought the whole appeal of an anime adaptation was supposed to be that it had good animation, that let you properly see what the story was trying to tell you. But here, they had the lamest fights of Egg Viper and Zero and Beta ever. They didn't even try. Well, they kind of tried, because Beta shot a bunch of lasers and the Viper tried to crush Sonic, but barely anything happened in it. It's sad when a video game from 1998 was more epic with its fight scenes than an anime. We didn't need to see Amy and Gamma's stories. They were good for their characters, sure, but I already saw that in the game, so I don't care. Because it's just the same thing again. Archie did this better by far, there's no questioning that. That's all there is to say about this episode. They barely tried, they wasted too much time, they didn't show you what you actually wanted to see, like what happened to Nicole. Seriously, why would you make a flashback for Sonic about her holding some chow without showing him the actually important part with the Master Emerald? This entire adaptation feels painfully out of place, because it's so samey that it literally just feels like it's the game dropping into another continuity where it doesn't belong. It'd be entertaining if it was really original, but instead just a giant waste of time. Why did we even have recap at all? We don't need recap in a story that does nothing but lazily steal story content from a video game that everyone already experienced. How tone deaf are they to think we needed recap for this? That's the one story arc you never need recapping on. Who would watch this adaptation without already being familiar with the story from the game? They got it backwards. Well, unless this adaptation was released before the game to promote it. Even then, in retrospect, it's boring.